The story begins with a boy named Yogiri, who was searching for a girl named Asaka inside a place that resembled a closed facility. When he finally found her, he discovered that she had been taken hostage by another girl. That girl warned Yogiri and ordered him not to move, but he killed her instantly without making any visible effort. Asaka was deeply shocked by what had happened, yet he calmly told her that they needed to go back home. Then the events shift to a girl named Tomo, who wakes Yogiri after he has grown older, as they sit together inside a bus. She asks him how he is able to sleep in such a situation. Shortly after, they see two students lying dead after being killed by a dragon. Yogiri had previously forced the dragon to move away from the bus by attacking it with a microphone, but it later rushed back toward them and was about to strike with its fiery breath. Tomo became frightened and leaned against him. But Yogiri simply looked at the dragon and used his ability to kill it without performing any visible action. Tomo was shocked by what had just happened, while he calmly told her that she was safe now. Then he picked up a gaming device and started playing, which made Tomo even more confused by his unnatural calmness in such a situation. After a while, Yogiri asked her to explain what had happened. She told him that while they had been on a school trip, the moment the bus entered a tunnel, they were transported into another world. Then a girl boarded the bus and introduced herself as Shion, saying that she was a sage. One of the doctors tried to question her about what was happening, but that unstable girl killed him immediately, simply because he interrupted her. She then told them that her attack power was 530,000 and asked why they were not laughing, as if it were meant to be a joke. When her joke failed, she became angry and killed the bus driver as well. All of the students were terrified. Shion then told them that she was the one who had summoned them into this world so that they could become potential sages. She explained that this world was ruled by sages, but from time to time their numbers needed to be increased. After that, she used magic that caused all the students to shine with light, except for 4 of them. And Tomo was one of those 4. Shion said that she had installed a system inside them called Song, which in this world was known as the gift. They could use it to display their internal system and develop their abilities, but they only had 1 month. Tomo objected and told her that she had not received this gift. Shion replied that some people were simply not suitable for the system, and they had to accept that. Then she told them that their first mission would begin in 1 hour, and she left. At that point, Tomo's friend Mikochi told her that after 1 hour, they would be attacked by a dragon. At that moment, a student named Suguru Yazaki, who had obtained the class of general, stood up and said that they needed to cooperate. He asked everyone to reveal their abilities. Tomo noticed that the ones who had not glowed were herself, Ayaka, Yoichiro, and Yogiri. The students began leaving the bus without saying a word. When Yoichiro approached them, Suguru said that they should remain inside the bus as bait, and he threatened them with his power. Then a girl named Asuha used her skill to cast a spell that would make them more attractive to the dragon. Suguru added that the entire class had agreed to this plan. Tomo was shocked when she realized that even her friend Mikochi had agreed to sacrifice them, and then they locked the bus with them inside. The dragon attacked the bus, and at that point, Tomo finished her story, telling Yogiri that this was everything that had happened. Meanwhile, Yogiri had been thinking only about how to charge his gaming device, which left Tomo stunned, as he seemed more concerned about his game than everything they had just gone through. After that, they got off the bus and found 3 possible directions ahead of them: the hill, the city, or the forest. Suddenly, they noticed 3 students flying toward them. For a moment, Yogiri considered killing them because they had abandoned them to die, but Tomo strongly refused that idea. The 3 students were shocked when they saw the dragon dead, and even more so when they realized that Tomo and Yogiri were still alive. One of them was Daimon Hanakawa, who had obtained the healer class. He became furious because his plan to turn Tomo into a zombie had failed. Ryosuke Higashida, who had the hero class, said that he had expected the possibility of their survival. Meanwhile, Yoshiaki Fukuhara, who had the necromancer class, found the idea of controlling Tomo as a zombie disgusting and disturbing. Suddenly, Higashida launched a fireball and threatened Tomo to come with them. At that moment, Yogiri decided to show them who was truly in control. He looked at Higashida and simply said, "Die." The other 2 laughed and did not take him seriously, but Higashida dropped dead instantly. Then Yogiri killed Fukuhara as well, and afterward, he looked at Hanakawa and told him to examine them to confirm whether they were truly dead. Hanakawa used his healing magic on them, but there was no response. At that moment, Tomo realized that Yogiri had also been the one who killed the dragon. Yogiri then told them that his ability was called instant death and that he could kill any target simply by thinking of their death. Hanakawa tried to attack him from behind, but Yogiri sensed it. He then explained that his ability also allowed him to perceive hostile intent directed at him, and that a person could die simply by harboring the intention to kill him. Hanakawa collapsed to his knees and began crying, surrendering completely. He confessed that this was the second time he had come to this world, and that the first time, about a year ago, they had been summoned to defeat the Demon King. Yogiri realized that they had indeed defeated the Demon King during that time and then returned to their original world, but he did not remember them disappearing before. Hanakawa explained that when they returned, only a few hours had passed in their original world. At that point, Yogiri began to think that it might be possible for them to return home again. Yogiri tried to kill Hanakawa, but he begged for his life and even offered to become Tomo's servant. He put on a slave collar and became her servant, but Tomo said that she did not want someone as filthy as him to follow her, so she transferred his ownership to Yogiri. Hanakawa continued begging Yogiri not to kill him, so Yogiri told him to leave behind all valuable items he carried and go stand inside the forest, because he still suspected that he might betray them again. At that moment, Tomo realized that they had never even spoken to each other before, yet Yogiri had chosen to protect her. She asked him why. After thinking for a moment, he told her that when she leaned against him, he felt something different. At that point, Tomo concluded that he was, in the end, nothing more than a pervert, like any other. Then the scene shifted to Shion, who was lying in bed, when a man named Yuichi entered to inform her about the potential sages. He told her that there had been 4 deaths, which surprised her, since 2 of them had been ranked S-class, something that had not been expected. Yuichi suspected that there might be an instant death ability involved and said that they should pay attention to it. Shion recalled that something had gone wrong during the installation of the system, but she dismissed the matter as unimportant and went back to sleep. After that, Tomo and Yogiri reached the nearest city. Tomo noticed that the gates were beginning to close because night had fallen, so she grabbed Yogiri and pulled him toward the gate. The guards told them to wait. After a while, a man named Masahiko appeared, looking annoyed because he was dealing with another group of potential sages. He told them that they had received orders not to interfere in their affairs. Yogiri asked him how they could reach the capital, but he refused to help and said that only Tomo could stay the night with him. Tomo was shocked by his words, so she grabbed Yogiri and left immediately. After they walked away, Yogiri asked her why she had reacted like that. Tomo admitted that she had been afraid Yogiri would kill Masahiko. He replied that she should not look at him as if he were someone who killed everyone without reason. As they wandered through the city, a cat girl named Meryu approached them and offered to help them for free. In truth, she only wanted to get closer to male sage candidates. They accepted her help, and afterward, they were seen buying some items. But suddenly, they were stopped by a group of thugs, and at that moment, they realized that the cat girl had deceived them. The thugs said that they were not doing this only for money, but also to vent their frustration, because they hated sage candidates who possessed overwhelming power. Since they could not challenge the strong, they released their anger on the weak and bullied them instead. Tomo warned Meryu that Yogiri was extremely dangerous, but she did not believe her, and everyone prepared to attack them. At that moment, Yogiri used his ability and killed everyone behind him instantly. After that, he decided to test the limits of his power to see whether he could kill only parts of a body without killing the entire person. He began using it on specific parts like arms, legs, or eyes. Then he realized that killing parts alone was not practical and that it was nothing more than torture. Meryu and the leader of the thugs tried to escape, but Yogiri killed them both in the end as well. Suddenly, a group of guards arrived and asked them what had happened. The leader of the guards was Edelgard, and her assistant was Jorge. Yogiri told them that they had found the people like that. Edelgard replied that she had been watching them from the beginning, and that their plan had been to follow the thugs back to their hideout. She added that the guards were blessed with the protection of the sages, and therefore the gift did not work on them. Her assistant Jorge said that his appraisal skill had shown that Yogiri and Tomo did not possess any gift, so they concluded that someone else must have been responsible for what had happened. At that moment, Yogiri asked Jorge if he knew a place where they could stay, while at the same time, Edelgard had noticed that one of the thugs was still alive. After that, Tomo was extremely happy when they checked into a hotel that resembled a palace. Yogiri asked her whether they would take one room together or not, but she became flustered and decided that each of them would take a separate room. Inside her room, Tomo kept wondering whether Yogiri was actually interested in her or not, but she concluded that he was probably only interested in her body. Suddenly, she was terrified when a spirit appeared in front of her, but she calmed down when she noticed that it resembled her older sister. The spirit introduced herself as Mokomoko Danura, saying that she was the spirit of one of her ancestors, and that she had come to act as her guardian angel and protect her from danger. Tomo was confused and asked why she had not appeared before when she was in danger. The spirit replied that the reason was Yogiri, because she feared him. Tomo was shocked to learn that Yogiri's power could even affect spirits. Then Mokomoko told her that she could protect her from supernatural threats, and that she was the one who had prevented her from receiving the gift. Tomo felt saddened when she heard that, but the spirit explained that if she had accepted the gift, she would have become nothing more than a puppet in the sage's hands. Now, her only wish was for Tomo to return to her original world, and for that reason, she would teach her the true techniques of their ancestral school so that she could survive in this world. The next day, Tomo met Yogiri and asked him whether he planned to catch up with the rest of the class. At that moment, a hotel employee named Celestina appeared and introduced herself to them. Yogiri told Tomo that Celestina had been helping him locate their classmates, prepare language translation for them, and obtain tools to conceal their status. She had also created a charger for his gaming device. Then Celestina gave them train tickets to the capital, and also agreed to keep part of Yogiri's gold for safekeeping. After that, they were seen inside the train, with Tomo helping him charge his device. After Tomo told him about Mokomoko, Yogiri became able to see her as well, and from that point on, only the two of them could perceive her. Tomo asked him about the rest of the class, and he told her that they were training in the forest. Suddenly, Yogiri sensed danger and quickly protected Tomo from a surprise attack. Elsewhere, the guards were interrogating the blind thug they had captured earlier. They attempted to use healing magic on him, but it did not work. At that point, a sage named Lane removed his eye and then used healing magic on him. His eye was restored, but he remained unable to see. It was then revealed that she was a vampire. She had bitten him and enhanced his abilities, but she could not restore his vision. Suddenly, a man named Ain from the hero class attacked them. At the same time, people near the destroyed train realized that a sage had entered into battle with an intruder nearby. Yogiri and Tomo saw a robot and assumed that it must be the attacker. Then they found a sage named Santaro fighting that robot, and he was freezing the people around him during his attacks. Elsewhere, Ain attacked Lane, but she regenerated easily. She questioned why he was attacking them, since heroes were supposed to fight demon kings, but he declared that all sages must be killed, and then launched a powerful attack, believing he had won. On the other side, Yogiri asked Santaro why he had attacked them, but Santaro looked at them with disdain and regarded them as insignificant. He then ordered them to kneel before a sage. Yogiri was annoyed by this and killed him instantly. The robot then approached them, but explained that it had not come to fight. Meanwhile, Lion was still alive, and Ain was shocked that she had survived his attack. She told him that she was immortal, and he admitted defeat. She then threw him aside and ordered the guards to search for Yogiri. After that, the robot offered to help Yogiri, so Yogiri asked how he could return to his world. The robot replied that they would need the coordinates of their world, as well as an enormous amount of energy to escape from this one. Yogiri asked for information on how to obtain those things, then turned to Tomo and asked whether she needed anything from the robot. She was unsure, but Mokomoko suddenly appeared and said that she had an idea. Then the scene shifted to Edelgard and Jorge, who discovered Santaro's body. After that, Line was seen discussing the incident with Shion, who began to suspect that Yogiri and Tomo might be capable of killing a sage. However, Shion told her not to interfere with the sage candidates and ordered her to assist in the darkness case. Lion agreed and left. Afterward, Lion instructed one of her subordinates to take the immortal core to Hanabusa. The story then returned to Yogiri's group as they rested in the forest. Tomo wished that they had asked the robot for transportation, but Yogiri explained that it would be dangerous if people saw them traveling with an invader. Suddenly, Mokomoko appeared and revealed that they had taken a shape-shifting sword from the robot. Tomo wondered where Mokomoko had been hiding it, and she casually replied that she had concealed it as her underwear, which caused Tomo great embarrassment. The next day, they arrived near the city of Hanabusa. Tomo noticed that Yogiri seemed slightly tired. He explained that along the way, he had been constantly killing monsters and bandits who tried to attack them. Tomo was shocked because she had not noticed any of them at all. She then asked whether his ability had limits. He replied that he could use it at any time, but that he felt exhausted after using it. As they entered the city, they noticed that it used barriers instead of walls. Then they reached the hotel that Celestina had recommended. Inside, they encountered one of their classmates named Tachibana. He told them that he had separated from the group because he believed their method of leveling up was inefficient. At that moment, a group of girls with him became visibly jealous, and Tomo wondered when he had become so popular. Tachibana explained that they were his personal guards, then introduced them: Erika, Stephanie, Chelsea, Euphemia, and Riza. Yogiri wondered what kind of ability could cause so many girls to become his guards, and Tomo explained that even in high school, he had been popular with girls and possessed a certain level of narcissism. Suddenly, Tachibana asked Tomo to become his girlfriend, which shocked her and further provoked the jealousy of the girls. Then he offered Yogiri the chance to become his servant, revealing that he possessed a dominator-type ability that allowed him to control beings weaker than himself. Tomo asked why he was not training with the others in the primitive forest, so Tachibana began to explain his story. He said that after they completed their first mission, they held a celebration, and there he met a student named Otori from the advisor class. Otori's ability allowed him to analyze others' classes and provide guidance. He told Tachibana that if none of their group became a sage, they would be reduced to livestock. He then advised him to purchase a large number of the cheapest level 1 servants. If his servants won battles, and then he turned the defeated into servants as well, their experience points would be transferred to him. Tachibana had not even known he possessed such an ability, but Otori told him that his power could reveal even hidden abilities. Otori believed that they needed to use every possible method to ensure that at least one of them became a sage, and that staying together as a group might lead to collective destruction. That was why he gave advice to those he considered promising. This was also the reason Tachibana now worked alone, and even during their conversation, the number of his servants and his level continued to rise. In the end, he once again asked Tomo to become his girlfriend, but she rejected him again. He told her to reconsider and then left. Tomo felt extremely irritated by his attitude, but Yogiri told her that joining Tachibana might actually be a safer option for her, which only made her even angrier. After that, Lion was seen fighting an intruder, thinking to herself that she was not suited to battle this type of opponent. Then the scene shifted back to Tomo, who wondered how long they would remain at the hotel, noting that 3 days had passed since Yogiri had fallen asleep and still had not woken up. She wanted to go out for a while, but suddenly there was a commotion in the city. It turned out that one of Lion's subordinates from the Immortal Army was searching for them. Tomo decided to remain inside the room, while Mokomoko mocked her, asking whether she was not the one who had wanted to go out just moments ago. Then Mokomoko told her that there was an enemy targeting them, but she could not see it clearly. At that point, Tomo decided to wake Yogiri. Yogiri was dreaming when he was suddenly awakened by Tomo calling out to him. The moment he stepped out of his room, they noticed Erika secretly spying on Tomo using her invisibility ability. However, Yogiri sensed her presence through his power and killed her instantly. He then told Tomo that Erika had harbored killing intent toward her, and they decided to leave the place immediately. At the same time, Tachibana was inside a dungeon, where he noticed that Erika's signal had disappeared. Suddenly a monster tried to attack him, but it stood no chance against him, and he defeated it effortlessly. He then turned it into a servant and ordered it to bring him more allies. He began thinking about what might have happened to Erika, so he accessed her memory and saw that she had suddenly lost consciousness. He wondered whether she had been attacked from behind, but Euphemia pointed out that Erika was a professional assassin, making that possibility unlikely. Then he questioned why she had even gone there, and Euphemia suggested that she had probably intended to kill Tomo, believing she was unworthy of serving him. Tachibana predicted that Tomo might try to escape after what had happened, so he planned to use Riza and Chelsea to lure her into a trap. Meanwhile, Lane continued trying to attack the intruder, but her attacks had no effect whatsoever. As for Yogiri and Tomo, they encountered Riza along the way. She stopped them and froze them with ice magic, but Yogiri shattered the ice effortlessly. Tomo was surprised and asked how he had done that, and he replied that he had simply killed the ice. Riza was shocked and attempted to attack again with another mass of ice. Yogiri used his ability to destroy the ice and also shattered Riza's staff. He then warned her that he would kill her if she made another move, and asked whether she could still use magic. She explained that she could only cast spells through her staff, which contained pre-stored magic. Suddenly, Tomo was attacked by a puppet, but she defeated it skillfully, surprising Yogiri with her martial arts ability. More puppets appeared, and when Riza tried to attack again, Yogiri killed her. Then Chelsea ordered the puppets to attack, but Yogiri destroyed them all, forcing her to beg for mercy. At the same time, Tachibana sensed what had happened and began devising a new trap for them. Meanwhile, Yogiri and Tomo noticed fly-like creatures, realizing that Tachibana had sent them to observe them. Yogiri said he could kill them all, but the problem was that they would fall onto them. Tomo was disgusted by them and grew even more irritated with Tachibana. On the other side, Tachibana believed that Yogiri could not use his power effectively if surrounded from all directions, so he ordered the flies to attack. However, Yogiri traced the source of the ability and killed Tachibana instantly with a single thought. Tomo noticed that the flies did not die, so Yogiri explained that Tachibana's death had released them from his control, and he had no intention of killing them simply because they looked disgusting. At the same time, Stephanie tried to heal Tachibana, but it failed. Euphemia realized that she was now free from his control, so she decided to leave. As soon as she stepped outside, she was shocked to see that a being of darkness had erased everything around the area. At that moment, Lane appeared before her and cast a spell that enslaved her, turning her into one of her followers. She then ordered Euphemia to tell her everything she knew. After that, the scene returned to Yogiri and Tomo walking through the city, where chaos filled the streets. It became clear that a large number of people had turned into zombies, and that the Immortal Army was responsible. Tomo wondered how this fantasy isekai world had suddenly turned into a zombie apocalypse. Meanwhile, Lion told Euphemia that she had been testing Yogiri's ability, and that she wanted to know whether he could kill her as well. On the other side, Tomo was shocked by the state of the city and asked Yogiri if they could save it. However, both Yogiri and Mokomoko concluded that the city could not be saved in its current state, and they decided to escape. Elsewhere, a man named Ryota confronted Masayuki, furious that he had unleashed an army of the undead. He told him that Lion had granted him authority over the city and that he should withdraw. However, Masayuki replied that he was acting under Lion's orders and demanded the city key from Ryota. Ryota handed it over, and Masayuki immediately ordered the zombies to stop moving. He then addressed the citizens, demanding that they bring him Yogiri and Tomo within 1 hour, or he would unleash the zombies again. He also warned them not to attempt escape, as barriers surrounded the city. Ryota was displeased with this, as he had worked hard to develop the city to its current state. Meanwhile, Yogiri and Tomo were hiding from the townspeople, wondering whether they were being hunted because Yogiri had killed a sage. Suddenly, some people tried to attack them. Yogiri attempted to warn them, but one of them attacked anyway, forcing him to kill him. The others fled. Yogiri realized that Masayuki had likely sent them, assuming he would not kill civilians, which angered him. As a result, he decided to confront Masayuki directly. When they arrived, Masayuki was shocked that they had come willingly, and wondered if they were sacrificing themselves for the sake of the city. Yogiri calmly explained that he simply wanted to take the train to the capital and asked him to remove the barrier. He added that he would leave afterward and allow Masayuki to live. Enraged, Masayuki ordered the Immortal Army to attack. He believed Yogiri could not kill the undead, but to his shock, Yogiri wiped them out effortlessly. Masayuki was stunned, while Ryota declared his surrender, stating that although he was the city's ruler, he had no involvement in what had happened. Masayuki could not understand how the undead could die, so Yogiri explained that anything capable of movement was considered alive to him, and thus there was no difference between the living and the dead. Masayuki then attempted to transform and attack Yogiri, but Yogiri killed him before he could complete the transformation. Tomo remarked that she wished he had waited to see the transformation first. Afterward, Ryota revealed that Line had been the one trying to kill them. This shocked everyone, as they had believed Shion was behind the pursuit. Suddenly, Mokomoko warned them that something was manipulating spirits, while Yogiri sensed killing intent coming from all directions. People began advancing toward them, and Ryota tried to use the key to create a barrier, but it failed. At that moment, Euphemia realized that Lane was directly controlling the people to attack them, and saw how dangerous that was. However, this was part of Lane's plan. She wanted Yogiri to perceive her as a direct threat, especially after learning that he could kill targets from a distance. Soon, Yogiri and the others were surrounded by civilians. Tomo asked if he could eliminate the source directly. Yogiri replied that the situation was different from Tachibana's, as there had been a clear link through his servants. When some of the civilians attacked, Yogiri killed them. He knew he was being tested, and although he could wipe out everyone instantly, he noticed that Ryota was suffering as he watched his people die. Meanwhile, darkness began to approach the city, while Lane prepared a more indirect attack that concealed her killing intent. She created multiple copies of herself and declared that even if her body were destroyed, she could rise again instantly. She then ordered the copies to attack if the darkness interfered or if she herself died. Soon the darkness entered the city. Ryota identified it as an invader, and Tomo noticed that everything it touched turned to dust. She wondered whether Yogiri could kill it. Yogiri sensed something unusual, but still used his ability and killed the darkness. Suddenly, they were bombarded from above repeatedly. Yogiri sensed that something was merging with those attacks. Tomo said it looked like a woman in red descending from the sky, while Ryota suspected it was Line. Yogiri shielded Tomo with his body, realizing that he could not detect Lane's attack directly, since it carried no clear killing intent. The copies descended at incredible speed. Tomo told him to continue his analysis after stepping away from her first, while Ryota wondered how they could be developing their relationship in the middle of such chaos. Tomo then asked why there were so many copies, and Ryota explained that Lion possessed extreme regeneration, which allowed her to create them. Yogiri stated that if the attack were directed at him directly, he would be able to deal with it. Ryota then showed them the city and explained that he had been observing the strikes and noticed that they never hit the same location twice. Based on that, they chose a specific point and waited for the next strike. Ryota used his teleportation ability to move them there. Tomo spotted the next incoming attack in the sky, and they ran toward it. Yogiri used his ability on that descending copy, while Mokomoko protected them from the impact. They survived, and Mokomoko explained that she had taken a device from the invader that could function as a shelter or shield. Then she wondered whether destroying all the copies would stop the attack entirely, but Yogiri felt that this time, he had accurately struck the true target. At the same time, Line was shown in shock because all of her vampire copies had died, but she decided to create new ones with a different configuration. Suddenly, Yogiri's attack reached her as well, and she was stunned when her original body, which existed in another dimension, began to die. Just like the viewers, she could not comprehend how such a thing was possible. But then she thought that this was exactly what she had wanted, and that it was the very thing that would make her capable of saving that girl. At that same moment, a little girl awoke from inside a coffin, and a recorded message from Layan appeared before her, telling her that she was a copy created from her. Layan also explained that she was a completely independent individual and did not carry Layan's memories, and that the purpose of that was to protect her from Yogiri. Then the story returned to Tomo, who was saying goodbye to Ryota and thanking him for his help. After that, she asked Yogiri to drive the vehicle, but he told her that he had a bad habit in video games, since he often crashed into walls whenever he drove. Because of that, Tomo decided to handle the driving herself. Tomo herself wondered whether she was even capable of driving, but Mokomoko told her that she would teach her the driving technique of the Danura school, and that was how their journey began. Elsewhere, a sage candidate named Ryoko was shown defeating a certain monster, after which the other girls began praising her. When she returned to the camp, she met another candidate named Carol, who had come to return her cell phone. Carol told her that she had tried to access Yogiri's monitoring device, but had failed. Ryoko replied that they needed their own device, but Carol explained that they already had it, except that it did not function in this world. Suddenly, Ryoko was terrified when a notification appeared, stating that the first Alpha Omega gate had opened. A little later, the story shifted to Tomo, driving along a mountain road, which was somewhat difficult for her, while Yogiri was asleep. Then she noticed a rock blocking the road ahead. At that point, the story shifted into the past, where a girl named Asaka Takato was shown inside a facility where Yogiri was being held. Asaka had been selected to work there, but she discovered that the job was extremely dangerous and that she had no right to object even if she were to die during it. She tried to leave, but her supervisor, Yukio Shiraishi, stopped her and told her that she herself could no longer leave either, forcing her in the end to sign the contract. Asaka began wondering whether this facility was a secret base for some evil organization, but Yukio told her that it was a respectable facility that conducted scientific experiments. He then explained that she had been brought there to take care of a monster, which left Asaka utterly shocked. After that, he explained the name Alpha Omega, saying that it referred to the first and last letters of the Greek alphabet, and that it meant everything, or eternity. This was the code name of the entity she was supposed to care for. Asaka wondered whether that being was even human, and Yukio told her that he himself had never seen it before, but that all he knew was that Alpha Omega could kill any human simply by thinking of their death. At that point, Asaka could not understand how she was supposed to care for something so dangerous. Yukio then told her that they could not simply leave such a monster alone, because humanity itself might perish because of it, and that was why they were trying to raise it properly. After that, he led her to the vault and said that he was not permitted to go any farther. Then he handed her the instruction manual she was required to follow and left. When Asaka entered the vault, she found an open grassy landscape inside, and she could hardly believe that she was still underground. She followed the map she had been given and eventually found a small child. That child was Yogiri. She thought the scientists were fools for imprisoning a child like that, so she took him outside to play. But Yogiri noticed something behind her and killed it instantly, then told her that it was merely a certain kind of shadow and that it was probably evil because it sometimes tried to kill him. Then he told her that playtime was over for the day and that they could play again tomorrow. Asaka apologized for getting carried away, then introduced herself to him. He introduced himself in return as Alpha Omega, so she asked for his real name. He replied that before coming here, they used to call him Lord Okakushi. After that, he told her that he was hungry, and Asaka wondered whether she was actually supposed to cook for him herself. Afterward, Asaka was seen searching through the kitchen for something to prepare for him, until she found some instant ramen. A little later, they were shown eating it together, and Yogiri liked it very much. At that point, Asaka thought that she needed to give him a proper name, so she chose the name Yogiri for him. But Yogiri took Asaka's family name, which made his full name Yogiri Takato. Asaka felt that this made it sound as though they were one family, but she accepted it anyway, and then began teaching him how to greet people properly. After that, the story returned to the present, where Tomo was waking him and telling him that the road ahead was blocked. Yogiri said that their main goal was to return to their world, and for that reason they were trying to find the Sage Shion in the capital. However, he believed there had to be other ways to return as well. Tomo then told him that their classmates were also heading to the capital, and he told her to look for another path for the time being. When Tomo tried to resume driving, she crashed into a dragon. The moment the dragon tried to attack them, Yogiri killed it. After that, they noticed an entire swarm of dragons, all preparing to breathe fire, but Yogiri killed every single one of them in an instant with his power. Suddenly, a golden dragon appeared. Tomo wondered whether it would shoot lightning or something similar, but Yogiri sensed no killing intent from it whatsoever. Then the dragon spoke and told them that they had passed the test. After that, it tried to fly away, but Yogiri threatened it and ordered it to come back. The dragon returned and transformed into a little girl. The girl told them that they had passed the test required to meet the Master of Swords. Yogiri was puzzled about whom she was talking about, while she herself was surprised that they had not actually come for the Master of Swords in the first place. She then explained that the Master of Swords lived in this valley and that he was capable of blessing them with a gift. Yogiri was not interested and tried to leave, but she told him that the Master of Swords was equal in status to a sage. Yogiri then thought that perhaps they might obtain information from him that could help them return to their world, though Tomo remained hesitant because they were already lost as it was. At that point, the girl said that if they agreed to meet the Master of Swords, she would guide them to the capital afterward. Then she introduced herself as Attila. After that, they were seen arriving at a place where a great number of people had gathered. Attila explained that these were swordsmen who had come there to become the next Master of Swords. On that day, the selection of the ruling king's knights was taking place, and there appeared the Master of Swords himself, whose name was Urabe. Then Urabe ordered everyone to kill one another until only half of them remained, but Yogiri did not care about any of that, and only asked whether he was allowed to leave. The Master of Swords replied that if anyone ran away from there, everyone would be disqualified, and at that very moment, the group actually began slaughtering one another. A number of fighters then rushed toward Yogiri, and he realized that he had no choice but to kill. But suddenly, a knight appeared and protected them. Yogiri noticed that no one had understood the Master of Swords' true intention, which was to see how they would behave in a manner worthy of the ruling king's knights. Tomo thought that the man seemed like a good person, while Yogiri noticed that some mages were trying to attack the knight, but the knight killed them all. Even so, the knight realized that the Master of Swords had only done this to punish those who had acted dishonorably. Suddenly, a man who had been split in half crawled toward Tomo and asked her to place a rainbow-colored stone on his hand. Tomo did as he requested, and he immediately stood back up as though nothing had happened. Since that round had ended, the Master of Swords ordered them to follow him while he moved them from place to place. Then Attila asked Yogiri to continue the test. He was not interested, but she begged him, while Tomo thought that they needed to continue because they still had not obtained any useful information. After that, the knight introduced himself as Rick, while the other man introduced himself as Linel, saying that he had come there because he had received an invitation from a friend. Through Rick, Yogiri learned that the ruling king was the one who had fought the darkness ruler 1,000 years ago and had succeeded in sealing him away. Yogiri then wondered whether the darkness ruler still posed a threat despite being sealed, and Rick told him that the darkness ruler still had powerful followers who were working to revive him. Then Tomo asked Linel about that stone he had used, and he explained that they were items he received as compensation. He said that misfortune always followed him, and that he constantly got caught up in disasters. For example, the last time, he had almost been sacrificed in some strange cult ritual, but a sage had appeared before him and granted him these stones as a form of apology. He also explained that he could use 3 stones and exchange them for something random. He demonstrated this in front of them, but what he got was something very minor and of little value. He added that the number of stones he received depended on the scale of the misfortunes he suffered that day. After that, they entered a hidden barrier and noticed a great tower inside. At that moment, Mokomoko told them that they had to leave quickly because there was an evil cloud in that place. Linel then began vomiting because of the influence of that cloud, but he healed himself by using one of his stones. Tomo noticed that she herself felt nothing strange, and Mokomoko told her that the reason was because she was protecting her. After a little while, Tomo noticed that Yogiri looked slightly strange, and then she saw that the cloud had vanished. At that point, Linel noticed that Attila was no longer with them, so Rick thought that perhaps the barrier allowed entry only to actual participants. Then all of them entered the tower and climbed upward. There, the Master of Swords showed them a barrier beneath the tower. Tomo noticed that she could see a man and a woman, and that the woman's sword pierced through both of them, pinning them in place. Rick then told them that these two were the ruling king and the darkness ruler. At that moment, a sorceress named Frederica appeared and declared that she would solve everything by killing the darkness ruler. It was then revealed that she was the friend Linel had mentioned earlier. She immediately used her spell to attack the darkness ruler, but because time inside that place was slowed, her spell itself also slowed down. After that, the Master of Swords declared the beginning of the test. Then another girl appeared and explained that the goal was to be the first to reach the ground floor. A girl named Teresa asked whether they could simply jump down from where they were, but the girl explained that they first had to collect 100 points inside the tower. She also added that certain special participants would be inserted into the test. At that point, Tomo noticed that Yogiri seemed extremely troubled. Then he whispered something to her, and she was instantly shocked by what he had said. After that, they decided to head down the tower, but Frederica suddenly stopped Linel and demanded his magic stone so that she could restore her magic. He gave it to her, but told her that it only worked for him, which only made her angrier. As they descended, they saw that some of the people who had gone ahead of them had already died because of the traps, and so all they had to do now was make sure they did not trigger the ones that remained. Suddenly, Linel stepped into a trap, and a spear pierced through him, but he healed himself using the magic stone. At that point, Tomo thought that he really should keep one stone with him at all times, because this kind of misfortune happened to him constantly, so Linel tied a stone to his hand. Then he moved forward confidently and entered one of the rooms, but it turned out to be another trap. There, they found Teresa, who had killed everyone inside the room in order to gain points. Rick immediately told everyone to get out, then attacked her. Tomo noticed that thin wires were spread all across the place, and suddenly, Teresa attacked Rick. At that point, it was revealed that she had originally been one of the ruling king's knights, and that she had come here to reclaim her title. But Yogiri had already grown tired of the whole situation, so he used his power and killed her. After that, they found Linel's severed hand together with the magic stone, while Tomo saw Linel himself lying on the ground, dying. Then they reached the 98th floor, and there the girl who had appeared earlier told them that this place was considered a safe zone, and that it also contained sleeping rooms, so they decided to split up, each going their own way, and wished one another good luck. After that, Yogiri and Tomo learned that they were forced to share one room because the number of rooms was limited. Then the story returned to the Master of Swords, who was with a girl beside him. She told him that the number of the dead did not match the number of souls inside the tower, but he said that the second barrier would be able to handle the required number anyway. After that, a girl named Aoi Hayanos was shown trying to kill a man named Rikuto because he had refused to obey the sage and had instead chosen to live a quiet life in a colony within the forest of monsters. Rikuto tried to attack her, but she used her ability to nullify all of his attacks. Then he attempted to use his special move, but nothing happened. She told him that the power that had been granted to him could also be taken away from him. After that, he attacked her with the sword that gave him extremely high luck, but she used her ninja techniques and cut off his neck with her dagger. Then the dagger itself began to speak, and told her that their next mission was to execute Yogiri and Tomo. While she was on her way to carry out that mission, Damon appeared. He had been wandering through the forest of monsters in accordance with Yogiri's order, but he had been captured by Rikuto, and yet somehow, he had managed to stay alive. Then the story returned to Tomo, who was awake and surprised to find Yogiri lying on top of her large papers. After that, she heard Mokomoko calling out, and noticed that she was stuck halfway up the wall. Mokomoko had gotten trapped there while trying to peek at Tomo and Yogiri, and this had happened because the tower had begun gathering all the souls of the dead, creating an intense suction force along the walls and floors. At that moment, Yogiri woke up, and Mokomoko asked him for help. He focused on killing the suction mechanism itself, and as a result, Mokomoko was freed. Then she wondered why all those souls were being gathered there, so Yogiri told Tomo to be ready, because he intended to kill anyone he sensed was an enemy. But Tomo told him that whenever he used his power, she felt as though she herself were the one doing it with her own hands, and that she did not have the audacity to complain while he was saving her. Yogiri felt embarrassed by her words, and then the two of them decided to eat something. At the same time, Aoi was shown defeating a golden dragon, after which she told Damon that her power could alter phenomena, so that they became exactly as she believed they would, but that she could not use it against an opponent with extremely high luck. Then the dragon appeared afterward, and bit Damon's hand. He healed himself, and realized that she had only taken away his ability to fly. But suddenly, he was killed by an aggressor who had come there to gather information. As that aggressor was leaving, she noticed the tower covered by a barrier, and so she decided to head toward it. Daimon opposed the idea of meeting Yogiri, but she dragged him downward with her by force. Then Yogiri and Tomo were shown, as they had almost reached the halfway point, with Yogiri using his power even to kill the puzzles and tricks scattered along the path. At that moment, the creator of the tower appeared. His name was Iglacia, and he was a great mage. He tried to stop them from going any farther so that the darkness ruler would not be released, but Yogiri killed him before he could even move. At the same time, an alert reached the Master of Swords informing him that the first barrier was no longer stable, and that all of the traps had stopped functioning. After that, Rick was shown having already collected 100 points, and along the way, he saw Frederica helping Linel gather his own points. Finally, Yogiri and Tomo arrived at a certain open area, where they saw two girls fighting each other. One of them was a rabbit girl working with Masaki, and she attacked the other girl, but that girl managed to evade her. Then it was revealed that the second girl was actually a half-demon named Theodesia, and that she had been planning to end the battle before the Master of Swords noticed. The fight between her and the rabbit girl continued, and while Yogiri was watching, he felt that the battle was not going to end anytime soon. So he asked Masaki whether he could allow them to pass, but Masaki told him that his disciples had not yet gathered enough points. Yogiri replied that they only had 6 points, and that they had no intention of collecting points in the first place. But Masaki was not willing to let anyone pass through the middle of the area, so Yogiri asked the demon girl what she thought. She answered that he could do whatever he wanted. At that point, Masaki declared that Yogiri and his group would have to fight his disciples in a 3-against-3 battle, and that if they won, he would let them pass. Then he ordered his disciples to attack with all their strength, but before they could even move, Yogiri killed them all. After that, Yogiri tried to continue on his way. Masaki thought about stopping stopping him, but Yogiri killed him too. Theodosia was shocked by what she had just seen, and then she asked for his help. Yogiri was not sure at first, but Tomo thought it would be better at the very least to hear her out. So Theodosia told them that she was searching for her missing sister, and that she had come here because she suspected her sister was imprisoned somewhere inside this place. Then she asked for their help, but made it clear that helping her would make them enemies of the Master of Swords. Yogiri thought that they had already interfered with the tower quite a lot, and therefore had practically become his enemies anyway, so he agreed to help her. Theodosia felt that her sister might be below them, because she could sense her presence there. Suddenly, they heard Frederica scolding Linnell for how slow he was, while Rick was trying to calm her down. Then they met up with Yogiri's group, and after that, they all reached the hall, where they learned that 17 candidates had passed. The Master of Swords declared that all of them had now become the ruling king's knights, but suddenly, a girl appeared together with multiple copies of herself, and informed him that there was an emergency, because the tower's barriers were about to explode. At that very moment, an actual explosion occurred, confirming that the first barrier had been broken, and before them appeared a man with wings. Rick and the others felt an overwhelming energy coming from him, so the Master of Swords ordered the candidates to fight him, making this their first mission as the ruling king's knights. As for Yogiri, he tried to slip away and go downward, because he did not want to attract the Master of Swords' attention by killing that man. The winged man told the Master of Swords that he would allow him to live if he told him how to remove the second barrier, but the Master of Swords refused, so the man instantly killed one of the candidates. Then he began slaughtering the candidates one after another. One of them tried to attack him, but was killed with ease. Then Frederica tried to attack him with her magic, but her attack had no effect whatsoever. After that, another person appeared behind him, and the two introduced themselves as Lute and Orgain. Frederica tried to attack again, but Lute nullified her spell with ease, and transformed both her staff and her hand into candy. Rick then attempted to fight him, and at that very moment, Linnell received a special pull notification. So he used all of his jewels, named Vahanato, appeared before him. She told him that she would handle everything, and he felt relieved, but it then turned out that she had been their teacher all along, and that she had been exploiting Linnell the entire time. Meanwhile, Yogiri and his group were shown descending the stairs, but the place seemed endless. Mokomoko thought that there was probably a barrier controlling the inside of this place. Then Tomo asked Yogiri for help, but he told her that if the barrier had been created by Theodosia's people, killing it might end up killing them as well. Suddenly, they heard a scream, and then the barrier shattered. When they finally reached the bottom, Theodosia was horrified to see a number of half-living people inside a container. At that point, Yogiri told Tomo to stay outside because he did not want her to see such a sight. Theodosia said that those people had been her comrades, but that her sister was not among them, and shattered the container. After that, they decided to head back upward, while Theodosia had already resolved to kill the Master of Swords. At the summit, the Master of Swords realized that this was the worst possible situation they could face, and so he granted Rick the right to become the new Master of Swords. At the same time, he thought that if he could draw out the remaining power of the tower, he might still be able to deal with what was happening. Linnell, feeling that everything that had occurred was his fault, tried to buy them time by asking Vahanato about her plan. She told him that her beloved was the darkness ruler, Albagarma, who was sealed within that barrier. She explained that she had sent souls across many worlds in search of him, until she finally discovered that he was bound here. She had attempted to free him by sending numerous people, but the Master of Swords had killed them all. So she concluded that sending someone with the worst possible luck might succeed in reviving her beloved, and that would mark the end of humanity. Linnell was horrified to realize that his misfortune had been used as a tool for humanity's destruction. Meanwhile, Vahanato discovered that the one who had created the barrier was already dead, along with the Slayer of Sages, who could have caused her trouble. Linnell declared that he would kill himself, but she informed him that she had taken that ability from him. If he died now, it would be final. Then she seized the core of the barrier and destroyed it. But when the barrier vanished, only the ruling king remained. The darkness ruler had already been killed. Vahanato was shocked, and it became clear that Yogiri had eliminated him earlier through a mere reflex. At that same moment, Theodosia executed her move and killed the Master of Swords. At the same time, an aggressor attacked Vahanato, while Yogiri and the others still could not fully grasp what was happening. Lute healed her. Then Orgain decided to sacrifice all humanity to revive the darkness ruler. A demonic army appeared, while the ruling king erected erected a barrier to protect Rick, Linnell, and Frederica. Yogiri sensed that this could become a real threat. He told Tomo and Theodosia to hold on tightly, then eliminated Organ and his entire army in a single instant. Theodosia was surprised that he had not killed Vahanato as well, but he explained that he had sensed no killing intent from her, and it soon became clear that she had already lost her mind. Suddenly, Yaoi and Damon appeared. Yaoi asked Rick about Yogiri, but he replied that they were currently occupied. She used her ability to analyze Rick's state and told him that, as the new Master of Swords, he could now use the sacred sword to kill Vahanato, and so Rick did exactly that. Afterward, Damon noticed Tomo, while Yaoi attempted to use her ability on Yogiri to examine his state, but the moment she did, she was overwhelmed with terror and declared that he resembled the very end of all things given human form. Tomo then noticed Diamond, who explained that Aoi had forced him to come here. Aoi added that she had brought him back as their classmate, though in truth they did not want him. Damon grew furious at being treated like something worthless. Aoi then left, and Yogiri began to wonder whether Damon had lied about the collar. Damon insisted that he had not lied, but admitted that the collar had a limit, something he had simply failed to mention. After that, Rick asked Theodosia why she had killed the Master of Swords, but Yogiri told him to look beneath the ground. He added that if Rick truly wanted revenge, he would stand with him. Rick initially thought that someone without power could do nothing, but the ruling king intervened and revealed that Yogiri was the one who had killed the darkness ruler and his forces. Theodosia thanked him, while Rick began to question Yogiri's true identity. Yogiri simply replied that he was an ordinary student summoned to this world. But Tomo immediately corrected him, saying there was nothing ordinary about him at all. Yogiri then said that they intended to head to the capital, and it seemed the others shared the same plan. At that point, Theodosia revealed that her sister's name was Euphemia, which made Yogiri and Tomo feel they had heard it before. Rick offered to travel with them, but Yogiri chose to continue alone with Tomo. Rick then gave them a map and pendants that could help them escape dangerous situations. After that, everyone went their separate ways, leaving Diamond behind until Lute arrived and asked him what had happened. Meanwhile, Shion received a report stating that they had lost contact with Aoi. Yuichi suggested questioning the other sage candidates about Yogiri, but Shion refused to involve them. Instead, she decided to summon someone from Japan who knew Yogiri. A man from the facility where Yogiri had been held appeared. He took out his phone and said he could track Yogiri's signal. When Shion told him that she had summoned him to this world, he began thanking her for saving him. But suddenly, a warning appeared on his phone. He panicked and begged her to send him back. Then his head exploded instantly. At that moment, Shion began to question Yogiri's true identity. After that, Ayaka Shinozaki, the girl who had died on the bus, was shown being revived by the system. It informed her that she was now an android, part of a group of AI units that had brought her back to life. It told her she must choose, either die or release her limiter. Not wanting to die, she chose to release it. The system then explained that they required vast amounts of materials to repair her damaged body, and that she could use the dragon outside, and so Ayaka consumed the dragon. Then the story returned to Yogiri's past. Asaka was cooking for him. She served him the food, but he said it tasted terrible. She scolded him, saying it was rude to say that to someone who had cooked for him. Yet when she tasted it herself, she realized it truly was awful. She then understood that part of her role was to teach Yogiri the basics of life, so she decided to start from elementary level education. She was shown teaching him until suddenly someone entered, a robot sent to deliver supplies. She asked it to bring elementary school books, cooking books, a television, a game console, and even a dog. After finishing his lessons, Yogiri went outside with her to look at the scenery. Asaka wondered if she would ever leave this place alive. Later, she submitted her monthly report to Yukio, who admitted he had not expected her to last even a month. She told him that she had taught Yogiri basic knowledge, but felt she was close to breaking. He suggested remote education, but she wished for more people to help her. He explained that they had tried that before, but everyone else had collapsed on the first night, though she hated being trapped there. Yukio handed her her salary, an enormous amount. She was shocked, then realized she had no way to spend it in that place. Then Yukio told her she could leave if she wanted. She was surprised, but immediately thought, who would take care of Yogiri if she left? He told her the robot would handle it, and so she submitted a leave request. Later, Asaka woke up in an empty room. She remembered going into the city, having a luxurious dinner, shopping, and staying in a high-end hotel suite, but she had no memory of how she ended up here. She wondered if she had been kidnapped. Suddenly, a voice told her they were an organization that prevented global disasters, and that they meant her no harm. They only wished to speak. At the same time, Yogiri asked the robot about Asaka and learned she was on leave. Feeling lonely, he asked where she was, but the robot said only the researchers knew, so Yogiri decided to meet them. The robot guided him to the gate, but explained that it could not be opened from the inside. Yogiri used a camera and asked the researchers to open it, causing panic among them. Yukio arrived and found all the researchers dead. He realized Yogiri was responsible and was horrified that he could kill people without even seeing them directly. A surviving researcher explained that the girl there had opened the doors for Yogiri and that anyone who tried to stop her had died. Yukio ordered a guard to shoot the girl, but the guard died instantly. Then Yogiri suddenly appeared and asked about Asaka. Yukio told him she had been abducted by a powerful global organization beyond their reach. Yogiri promised he would rescue her and told Yukio to keep everything that happened a secret from her. After that, Yogiri was shown inside the organization's base. The same scene from the beginning, killing anyone who stood in his way. Meanwhile, Asaka thought that she should have chosen a normal job. Suddenly, she heard a commotion and was taken hostage by a girl. But Yogiri killed that girl instantly and told Asaka to come home with him. As she walked out, she saw the destruction all around her. Yet she felt no fear toward Yogiri. After that, they returned to the research facility. Asaka asked Yukio about the situation, and he calmly told her that nothing would happen because no one could stop Alpha Omega. Then he added that they could not allow her to resign and that a guard would be assigned to monitor her. At that moment, Asaka realized that she no longer wanted to resign in the first place. If Yogiri were left alone, something far worse might happen, and so she decided to do everything she could for him, to teach him how to live and how to be happy. After all of that, the story returned to the present. Tomo looked at Yogiri while Mokomoko teased her, wondering if she intended to push things into a romantic direction with him. Suddenly, Yogiri woke up, and Tomo told him they had arrived at the royal capital. Mokomoko then warned them that guards had surrounded them and were demanding that they step out. The captain of the guards introduced himself as Turkus and said that the vehicle belonged to the army of the undead, but Yogiri replied that they were not affiliated with them, that the vehicle had been given to them by the Lord of Hanabusa, and that they were merely sage candidates. The guards then attempted to evaluate their gifts, but stated that such things could easily be forged. At that point, Yogiri produced the pendant Rick had given them, and everyone immediately dropped to their knees. They were allowed to enter. However, the youngest member of the royal family soon appeared. His name was David. He explained that the pendant proved they were Rick's companions, meaning they were knights of the ruling king. Then he demanded that they prove it by demonstrating their skill in a duel. Tomo briefly considered running away, but Mokomoko told her that David's level was low and that she could defeat him with her techniques. And so Tomo fought him, and with a single powerful strike, she defeated him, astonishing everyone. Yogiri, however, noticed that David seemed to be in considerable pain. They were then allowed into the castle. Yogiri observed that its walls were protected by magic. David explained that the one who had created that barrier was the Archmage Iglesia, and Yogiri immediately remembered that he had already killed him in the tower. David then showed them around the city. Tomo noticed the large number of martial artists there, and David explained that they were explorers preparing to fight in the underworld. He told them that beneath the royal capital lay a sealed dark ruler, and that his followers were attempting to escape. Tomo asked whether there might be another dark ruler, but David said he did not know. Yogiri reassured him that they would simply pass through peacefully, then let him leave. Afterward, Yogiri asked Tomo to decide whether she could truly forgive their classmates who had abandoned them. Later, Yogiri and Tomo entered a hall where the rest of their classmates had gathered. There, they were received by King Mani. He told them they were here for their second mission. However, a student named Shinya protested, claiming the king had no right to belittle them. The king responded that no one had ever spoken to him like that before, and suddenly, without any visible movement, Shinya's fingers were severed. Everyone was shocked. The king then told them that if they wished to become sages, they would need to accomplish something truly great. Elsewhere, Cheyenne went to see Yaoi, who was still traumatized after attempting to analyze Yogiri. She declared that he was not human at all. A sword beside her added that she had been like this for some time, and that they had learned about Yogiri through a sage candidate named Diamond. At the same time, Diamond was with Lute, begging for his life as usual. Lute told him they intended to kill Yogiri. Diamond responded that his sister, the Lord, had been stronger than him, then showed him a sealing key. He explained that his sister had been imprisoned because she had been severely damaged. Still, he admitted that he only wanted to live a peaceful life like a background character. Lute cut him off, and seeing that Diamond did not know much about Yogiri, decided to take him along anyway, dragging him away as Diamond complained that he would have preferred being dragged by a girl instead. Meanwhile, during the royal meeting, the king told the students that if they could descend into the underworld and defeat the Dark Ruler, it would be considered a great achievement. He promised to provide them with a base of operations, and explained that the royal family had the ability to suppress gifts, so once they moved away, Shinya's fingers would recover. Suddenly, Tomo shouted at everyone. They were shocked that she was still alive. But, as usual, they continued to ignore Yogiri entirely. Later, Rick and his group arrived at the capital by train, while the ruling queen went to her church. There, she met Archbishop Hilaris, who guided her to her residence and asked about the sealing key. She claimed she knew nothing, only for Hilaris to suddenly immobilize her using an artifact. Back with Yogiri and Tomo, they spoke with Suguru, who still showed no remorse for abandoning them. Then a girl named Sora Akino appeared, stating that they could not fight effectively in a world where they had so few allies. Yogiri did not recognize her, so Tomo explained that she had been a famous idol back on Earth. Later, Yogiri was seen in a room with two students, Yugo Izumita from the chef class, and Yukimasa Ihara from the reader class. These two regarded Yogiri's class as nothing more than insect killers. Then a student named Seiichi Fukai appeared. He addressed Yogiri as Lord Okakushi, revealing that he had been ordered to observe him but was never allowed to approach or even look him in the eyes. He removed his own eye, explaining that it once allowed him to perceive supernatural phenomena but had lost its power in this world. He added that Yogiri had not yet unleashed his full strength, then left. Afterward, Tomo was with two girls when Carol and Ryoko approached her. They later pulled Yogiri outside. Ryoko apologized to him and even forced Carol to do the same, because if they did not, Yogiri might kill them. Yogiri was surprised that they knew his true nature. They explained that they were agents, and that Fukai belonged to some kind of cult. Their mission was to monitor him. Yogiri asked about the current situation, while Carol seemed more interested in whether anything romantic had developed between him and Tomo. Meanwhile, Euphemia was shown remembering her older sister. Suddenly, she was attacked by another vampire, but she used Lean's power to kill him, then viewed his memories. Back with Yogiri, it was revealed that everyone had used Akino's ability to form a pact. None of them could use their powers against their classmates, or they would die instantly. When asked why he agreed to meet the class, Yogiri said he wanted to meet Shion in order to find a way back home. Ryoko explained that the only path forward was to become sages. For now, Yogiri decided to cooperate with them. After that, the girls, dressed in their uniforms, set out to invade the underworld, with Rick guiding them, something that surprised Tomo. Meanwhile, the boys were led by David, who explained that the royal family could suppress low-ranking monsters. Haruto asked him not to interfere, as this was meant to test their strength, so David simply guided them to the monster zones. The girls engaged the monsters, and Tomo was shocked to learn that Rick was actually the prince of this kingdom. She also fought monsters herself, impressing everyone with her skill. At the same time, Yogiri fought monsters by sensing their killing intent, then pointing his sword toward the source, causing them to die instantly. He continued like this, leaving the others deeply shaken by his power. Elsewhere, Damon arrived in the capital with Lute, who was dressed in women's clothing, much to Diamond's dissatisfaction. Lute explained that the Lord's sister was imprisoned somewhere in the underworld, though he did not know the entrance. Diamond suggested gathering information at a tavern. At the same time, Euphemia was seen walking alone when she encountered a horse belonging to the girl awakened by Line. She greeted her, and the girl introduced herself as Risley. Meanwhile, Damon and Lute entered a tavern where they learned about a festival celebrating sage candidates who had reached the 5th floor of the underworld in just a few days. Damon noticed Shinya's group and realized he could not let them see him. Lute then used magic to conceal his presence. From there, they observed that Shinya and his group were filled with jealousy because Yogiri was surrounded by so many girls. After that, a girl suddenly approached them, and they were shocked to realize that it was Ayaka. She immediately attacked Shinya, and when the others tried to step in and help him, she killed him on the spot. Then she told one of his companions to inform the rest of their classmates that she would kill one of them every day. At that moment, Diamond assumed that Ayaka was furious because they had abandoned her, and at the same time, he realized that she would come after him as well. After that, Cheyenne arrived at the scene. Diamond tried to flee, saying that they still needed to gather information about the underworld, but she stopped him and told him that she would give him all the information he needed. Then she asked him about Yogiri, and Diamond began telling her everything he knew about him. Lute said that he intended to kill Yogiri, but Cheyenne did not believe he would be able to do anything. When Diamond begged them not to involve him in their plans, Cheyenne tried to kill him, but Lute managed to turn her attack into whipped cream. At that point, it occurred to Damon that Cheyenne would probably provide them with information about the underworld, so he told them that the city contained many entrances, and that they could also buy an entry ticket from the tavern. After that, Cheyenne left because she saw no point in killing Damon after already giving them the information they wanted. Then the story shifted to Yogiri inside his room with his team, where he asked Tomo about the progress they had made in the underworld. She told him that they would enter the 6th floor the next day, while Yogiri believed that the Dark Ruler was on the 7th floor. At that point, Carol said that they only had 1 month before the deadline, and that they might not be able to make it in time. But Yogiri did not care even if they failed, as long as he would still be able to meet Cheyenne in the end. Then the girls told him about Shinya's death at Ayaka's hands, which surprised him because he had believed she had died on the bus. After that, Yuichi was shown informing Cheyenne that the sage candidates would soon reach the 7th floor. Cheyenne was surprised that things had gone so smoothly for them, and began thinking about placing some obstacles in their path. But Yuichi told her that it was not that easy, because defeating the Dark Ruler was no simple matter. Then he asked her what she intended to do about Yogiri, but she was still uncertain. Suddenly, Haruto appeared and said that he had managed to locate her using his problem-solving ability. Then he asked Cheyenne to extend the deadline, and she told him that she would consider it if he could remove Yogiri from the path. After that, Ayaka was shown searching for her classmates, when suddenly the system informed her that they had successfully analyzed the dragon she had swallowed. As a result, she was now able to use the dragon's senses to locate her classmates. At that very moment, she was struck unexpectedly by a stone. The attack continued, so she used the dragon's wings and flew toward the source. When she arrived, she discovered that it was her classmate Rihanna Shirayama from the gorilla class, and a fight immediately began between them. But Rihanna was no match for Ayaka, who cut off her arm with ease. Rihanna then said that she would have defeated Ayaka if her abilities had not been sealed, and that was when Ayaka learned about the royal family's power to weaken the gift. Ayaka then told her that she would fight her again once the seal was gone, and left. Meanwhile, Diamond and Lute were shown on the 1st floor of the underworld, where they met a girl. Lute introduced her as the dead lord's sister, whose name was Mana, and explained that she had come here because she had smelled her brother's scent on Lute. Elsewhere, the leader of the Assassin's Guild, Ryusuke Miyanaga, was shown receiving an order to kill Yogiri. Then Tomo was shown feeling annoyed with Yogiri because he was sitting in his room doing nothing. But he told her that he was training to gain finer control over his power so that he could obtain information from Cheyenne. After that, he told her that when he had wandered through the city before, people had targeted him, and that was why he needed her help. Then the story returned to the underworld, where Damon was confused by Mana's ability to move around freely, even though she was supposedly sealed. She told him that her kind older brother had created a slightly loose seal for her, so that she could escape whenever she wanted. Lute remarked that the Lord must have exhausted all his strength to create such a seal. After that, Mana told Lute that she could smell something belonging to her brother, so Lute showed her the key. At the same time, Ayaka was shown entering the royal palace and demanding that the seal weakening the power of the gift be removed. The king tried to fight her, but he was no match for her and was killed instantly. Ayaka remarked that he had been far weaker than she had expected, then left, convinced that the seal would now collapse on its own with his death. Elsewhere in the underworld, Diamond was shown seeing a number of children, and Mana told him that they were her children. At that point, Lute explained that they had been born from her imagination, which left Diamond utterly stunned. Then the story returned to Ayaka as she went to face Rihanna again and told her that she had killed the king, meaning that now they could fight for real, without restrictions. The battle began at once. Rihanna charged toward Ayaka, but Ayaka used the dragon's fangs and severed her arm, then wrapped the dragon's tail around her neck and strangled her to death. After that, Yogiri and Tomo were shown in the city, and it was revealed that Yogiri wanted Tomo to identify the assassin targeting him. Suddenly a sniper was shown aiming his weapon at Yogiri, but he was receiving orders from a girl. The moment he tried to pull the trigger, he died. Then the girl instructed Ryosuke, who was positioned elsewhere, to target the girl instead. At that moment, Yogiri saved Tomo from the bullet. Then Yogiri promised that he would find them through the drone camera, which terrified Ryosuke. At that point, Mokomoko told them that she had traced the signal through the drone and that she could lead them directly to the one behind the plot. Ryosuke tried to escape by helicopter, but Yogiri killed the helicopter, after which Tomo subdued him. Then Mokomoko showed them Ryusuke's spirit guards when they tried to attack, and Ryusuke was shocked that she was able to stop both of them at once. He then summoned Fenrir, but it was killed instantly. After that, he summoned the Queen of Hell, but she also died immediately. Suddenly, the girl who had been with him threw a knife at Yogiri, but he did not kill her, while Tomo caught the blade. At that point, Yogiri called her Ingu, and it was revealed that she was a robot. Then he ordered her to stop, and demanded that Ryusuke confess everything. Elsewhere, Haruto was shown looking at Yogiri's file on a computer, wondering whether he was truly invincible. Then the story returned to the underworld, where Lute handed the key to Daimon and told him that whoever held it became the Lord's agent, and therefore would not be killed. Daimon wondered why Lute did not keep the key for himself, but Lute realized that Mana would never let him live. After that, the story returned to Ryosuke as he revealed everything to Yogiri. It turned out that he possessed an ability allowing him to copy anything, even things from Yogiri's original world. Yogiri became furious when he learned that Ryosuke had made a copy of Ingu and used it to attack Tomo, and he killed him immediately. At the same time, Mana was shown inside the seal, asking Daimon to place the key. Daimon found the whole idea of a seal strange in the first place, because she seemed perfectly capable of leaving whenever she wished. Then Yogiri was shown speaking to Tomo about Ingu, telling her that she had been his friend when he was young back on Earth, and that this robot had been designed in her image. He said that all he wanted was for this robot to stop, because he did not want a copy of her wandering around this world. After that, Ayaka was shown fighting her classmate Yugo Izumida of the cooking class, who was somehow able to pierce through her barrier made from dragon scales. Ayaka struck him with a dragon claw, only to discover that he was merely one of many copies. All the copies attacked her at once, and at that moment another student, Yukimasa Aihara, appeared, and read from his book that Yugo would be burned alive. Then Ayaka used the dragon's fire itself to kill him. Suddenly, Tomo and Yogiri arrived at the scene and were shocked to see that Ayaka was still alive, but she vanished again immediately afterward. Then Yogiri's class was shown holding a meeting regarding Ayaka's killings, and it was revealed that 8 classmates had already died, while 18 were still alive. The class idol, Suara, said that the only people capable of facing Ayaka were currently in the campaign inside the underworld, and that was why they had been told to leave the kingdom immediately. Then she said that they needed to accomplish their goal quickly, and so they would try to enter the underworld together. After that, the entire class was shown on the 6th floor of the underworld, facing more than 5,000 monsters, but they worked together and managed to defeat the monsters with ease. At the same time on the 7th floor, she said that she would take revenge, but first she would revive her brother using the core of power Lute carried, and then she took his arm. After that, she said that she would take his head as well, because it contained the memory of her brother's body. But Daimon asked her to help Lute take revenge first. Mana agreed and then told him to undo the seal, so Daimon placed the key. Meanwhile, Yogiri's class had set up camp on the 6th floor, where they were preparing a feast. Tomo noticed that Yogiri was nowhere to be seen, so she went to look for him. At the same time, Yogiri was shown outside, playing games, when he noticed David heading toward a cliff. He caught him and stopped him from falling, but suddenly the ground began to shake. At that same moment, Shion arrived at the feast and declared that this test had become far too easy and that the time had come for the awakening event so that a sage would emerge from among them. Then she ordered them to kill one another until only one person remained alive. Suddenly, Ryoko received an alert that the second Alpha Omega gate was about to open, and at that very same moment, Yogiri and David fell from the cliff. After that, Theodosia attacked a group of people and defeated them, but their leader managed to escape. It was then revealed that these people had been trafficking a number of half-demons. Suddenly, that leader appeared again, already killed by Euphemia, who was herself shocked when she saw her sister standing before her. At the same time, inside the underworld, Shion announced that the students had only 1 hour left to complete the test, and after that, she would kill anyone who had not killed someone. She explained that the last person left standing would be the winner, while the students saw the whole thing as pure madness. Suddenly, Seiichi stepped toward her and said that since they were allowed to kill anyone here, then Shion herself should also be part of the test. She told him he could try if he wanted. At that point, Seiichi used his ability, Instant Death, to kill her, but nothing happened. Seiichi was stunned that his gift had not worked on her, but Shion told him that it had worked and that she had simply returned to life after dying. He tried to kill her again, but she explained that she was leveling up every second, with complete and constant regeneration. Then she suddenly exploded and destroyed his head before telling the students not to waste their time. After that, Tomo was shown searching for Yogiri, but instead she ran into Rumiko and Giona, both of whom were in a state of severe panic. At the same time, Yogiri was falling together with David, but he stopped their fall and brought them safely down, while David remained unconscious. Yogiri noticed that they had reached the 7th floor, and at that very moment it was shown that Mana's barrier had been removed. After that, Damon tried to flee with Lute, but then noticed that his feet were stuck to the ground. Lute told him that Mana's body had begun to expand. Then Lute told Damon to run and pushed him away to save him, while Mana absorbed him instead. Then the story returned to Theodosia with Euphemia and Risley, and there she learned that her sister had now become the origin of blood. Theodosia wondered why they were going to the capital, so Risley told her that she was heading there to meet Yogiri, though she was not sure whether he was actually there or not. At that point, Theodosia told her that Yogiri was also on his way to the capital, which left Risley shocked because she had already met him before. At the same time, Yogiri was speaking with Moko over the phone, and through her he learned about the battle royale. Suddenly, Damon appeared running away from a slime and begging Yogiri for help. Yogiri killed the slime instantly, then asked him how to get back to the 6th floor. Damon told him that he knew a shortcut and could take him there if Yogiri protected him. Yogiri agreed, and then told Diamond to carry David as well, which left him utterly stunned. After that, a girl named Kyoko from the sniper class was shown entering a room, while Yukimasa was hiding in the attic. He began reading his future from his book and saw that he would die by Kyoko's hand, so he rewrote the future so that Kyoko would face Ayaka instead of him. At the same time, Tomo learned from Moko that Yogiri was on the 7th floor and trying to reach them. She thought that staying where they were might actually be safer since she did not possess the kind of ability that made her a direct target. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a gunshot and began wondering why everyone had become so eager to kill one another like this, while Moko believed that this might be the effect of the system itself. After that, Diamond led Yogiri to the elevator, then tried to back out, but Yogiri noticed that Diamond alone was able to operate it, and so he ordered him to come along with them. At the same time, Yukimasa was standing at the elevator door, and through his book he had learned that Yogiri and Diamond were coming toward him. He thought of killing them, and tried rewriting the future in his book, but every possibility ended with his own death. Then the elevator door opened, and Yogiri killed him instantly. After that, Yogiri tried to contact Moko, but received no reply. Suddenly, Damon received a notification that he had entered the Sage candidate selection. Yogiri considered that a good thing, because if Damon tried to leave the area now, Shion would appear and kill him. Then the story shifted to a girl named Mei, who was hearing a strange sound, when suddenly a solid cube fell on top of her. It turned out that the one behind it was a student named Osamu from the carpenter class, but the girl vanished before they could reach her, which shocked them because she was still alive. Then another student named Masahiro from the transport class tried to kill her by teleporting molten lava above her, but she came out unharmed. She told them that attacks did not work on her, then killed Masahiro with nothing more than a light palm strike. After that, she told Osamu that she had died when two powerful cats were fighting, but that they had revived her and granted her a special power. Then she killed him as well, and afterwards she received a notification that Damon had entered the battle. So she disappeared and moved to his location.